CAUSENETIC family.
Hey, welcome to the CAUSENETIC podcast.
CAUSENETIC means being a person or thing that gives rise to a phenomenon that is dynamic or energizing.
Hey, we're tackling topics and telling the truth.
I'm Rodrigo Ross.
And I'm Keith Benson.
So today, in another Community Rec Magazine collab, I love these collabs because we get to meet and talk to some of the most amazing people on the planet. And today's no different.
Yes.
Today, our podcast is called Shifting the Focus Outward. That's not outward, Keith. That's swimming. That's not the same.
Well, you got to swim out.
You don't.
You don't know nothing about swimming.
Shifting the Focus Outward, featuring none other than Gary Bernstein. Welcome to the CAUSENETIC podcast, Gary.
Oh, thank you. It's great to be here, and I'm focusing. I'm going out also.
Right?
See, there we go. Now we got a thing.
Let's set this early. Don't follow Keith.
So, Gary, your next board meeting, man, when you talk about focusing and going out, you just go here. We got it.
And somebody else is going to say, you're swimming, Gary. That's swimming.
Well, Gary knows a little something about swimming because like all these mega buildings and projects that you've been a part of, I mean, you've done some amazing things throughout your career. Tell us a little bit about some of the things that you're doing.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I've been blessed in my career. I've had a number of different opportunities around the country. In fact, I was in Dallas for a number of years working at the Dallas JCC, and my son was actually born in Dallas as well and have some family there. So it's one of my favorite communities, and I always enjoyed watching the Mavericks and the Cowboys play. But no, I started out in the field in athletics. And teaching the little girls gymnastics and the little boys, bitty baseball and all that stuff. And it's been a good career. It's been a great journey. And as most people, you work your way up to a level where now I'm an executive director of a JCC, and it's been a great ride.
Nice. I love it. The thing that Gary has done that resonates with me is he's from Long Island. Yes, New York.
I knew it was coming. Why do I always feel like I'm the odd man out?
Because usually you are. You can't help it that you aren't.
Well, hold up. Time out.
Gary and I, because we're from New York.
But Gary, did you spend some time in Virginia also?
I did.
Thank you.
Don't try to dull his New York shine by saying he spent time in Virginia.
Well, I was born and raised on Long Island, and that was a great beginning to my life. And I did spend some time in Dallas, and I also in Virginia and New Mexico and other cities around the country. And each one was unique and different, and got bundles of experience in each one of those areas. And just look back on those experiences with great memories. Yeah. I think just as the Boy Scout motto, there's a motto that the Boy Scouts use is that you want to leave the campground better than you found it. Yes. And I think I've subscribed to that theory in the different communities that I've worked. That however many years I was there, I always felt I left the community better than the way I found it.
That's good. Yes, more people probably should center that in their work, right? Like that's kind of comparable to doctors do no harm.
Yeah, but
in the nonprofit space, right?
And it's that long-term focus that you have. I think if you can focus in on that long-term, like I want to make sure that whenever I leave, whether that's 2 years from now, 20 years from now, are things better off? I mean, right. If you lead with that perspective in mind, then therefore you can always be this rock star along the way. And you've had some incredible successes along your journeys into multiple places. What are some of the things that stand out to you?
Well, I think first and foremost, I had an opportunity to work in different Jewish community centers where I was recruited in basically a turnaround situation. Inheriting an agency in distress. Whether it was a large accumulated debt or an aging building, programs that might have been stale, staff morale might have been low, coming in as a young executive, trying to deal with all those different challenges and issues. And one really sticks out in my mind was the opportunity that I had in Albuquerque, New Mexico, where I was recruited to go and actually build a JCC, Jewish Community Center, from scratch. There was no building, there was no money, there was no staff, there was no board, there was no programs. And basically the leadership in that community had this vision of building a brand new community center. So I was recruited to go in, and a lot of the money was raised when I got there, but we had to raise a lot more. So it was overseeing the construction and, like I said, hiring the staff, recruiting the board, developing the programs, marketing the agency. And after about a year of planning and building and growing and fundraising, we finally opened up this beautiful 60,000 square foot building, which was really a jewel in the desert. And what gives me great pride today is that here it is 22 years later, and the agency is flourishing. And so I take great pride in that. And I look back at that as probably one of my biggest accomplishments.
That's good to know that the stuff that you stood up will just live that long, and not in a morbid way, but potentially outlive you, right? Like, that's a great legacy, leaving things better than how you found them. So let's shift a little bit to the article, shifting the focus outward. What were you talking, not swimming, when you were talking about shifting the focus outward, right? And one of that being your takeaways and working with nonprofits and over the years. What did you mean? Tell the folks what you mean by shifting the focus outward.
Well, I always felt, even early in my career, the importance of getting out of the building. You have a philosophy of being an internal executive or an external executive. And I think it's having the lay leadership trusting you to not only run the day-to-day operation internally, but also to get out of the building and develop relationships in the community and build collaborative efforts and partnerships. I think it's important in terms of increasing one's visibility, awareness of your operation, working together with other nonprofits, because most nonprofits struggle. We're all faced with the same challenges in finding the money, the competition for dollars, and now today, particularly today, the challenge of finding staff. I mean, staff is so hard to find and recruit good staff, because I don't know, sometimes it feels like not a lot of people want to work anymore. So
I'm still so confused, Gary. I'm like, well, where's everyone going?
Right.
I don't understand what happened.
Did something before we shut our doors, but now we're back. Like,
I don't know.
Well, I think a philosophy that I've always worked with and lived by is developing positive relationships and creating partnerships in the community and building upon that. So I find it very, very important, always important in my career, where I've served on volunteer boards outside the community, whether it be for Rotary or for the local, local chapter of the Red Cross or whatever it may be, is to show people that you're more than just a center director, but that you're a community director. You wear a community hat, and it's all about building community, strengthening community, changing people's lives for the better. So that's
so good.
Yeah, we've evolved so much over time.
That's so
and
good.
I love when you talk about your internal, external focus executive. And today you have to be external.
Yeah.
I mean, and so you have people that you hire to run your programs, run the facility, let them do what they're supposed to do. And then as executive director, you have to go out here and build this relationship, or else you can't get to, especially the fundraising goals that we have set. And you've had a lofty one. You had to raise $4 million for a facility.
Well, right here where I am now in Northeastern Pennsylvania, we're in the midst of a $4 million campaign to build and enhance and renovate our campsite. And yeah, it's you can't do that sitting behind your desk.
Right.
You have to get out in the community, and also you have to, as an executive, you have to trust your staff, empower your staff so that they can do their thing, run their programs, market the agency, so allow me the opportunity to go out and meet with people and develop those relationships and hopefully raise enough money to get to reach our goal and get what we want to get done, built, whether it's building a new gym, renovating the pool, enhancing the campus. And what we have right now is a beautiful 40-acre campsite.
Wow.
And it's it's been neglected over the years, so it needs a little loving care and a little sprucing up. And so we've raised about $2.6 to $2.8 million towards our $4 million goal, and we're going to get it. We're going to get it done. And we've got a great staff, and we've got a great lay leadership here, group of volunteers who are working hard to make sure that we're successful.
Yeah. So, what we're finding, particularly after the pandemic, is that at least in the YMCA, which there's so many, right, congruencies, like there's so much similarity in the way we operate, is that we're finding that what you guys call center directors, we call branch directors, right? And we're finding that particularly since the pandemic, what you're saying is really more critical, that you're not just a branch director, you are a community director. But some people are struggling with trying to make that shift. And how do I trust my staff, empower my staff, leave them in the building and go out? And so what advice would you give for these leaders or these folks who that kind of movement is not really intuitive? Like, they don't get it. Like, it's just hard for them to do that. Like, how can they start? How can they do that? How can they make that shift? Because I think you're absolutely right. There is no nonprofit now that can just operate and be relevant in a bubble. You have to go out in your communities and prove your value proposition and how you're gonna, you can be beneficial now and in the future.
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes from experience, and it comes to a realization that you as the executive can't do it all. Yeah. And you have to, as best you can, hire the best people you can, pay them a good wage, and get the heck out of their way, empower them to do their job. Yes. And I don't want to do your job. I don't want to do the program director's job. Hopefully we recruit good people, we pay them a good wage, and empower them to work hard. I don't know. It's trusting the process, trusting your staff, and so, I don't know if it gets any more complicated than that, but once you feel that comfort level and you have the support of your board of directors, I think that can happen.
Yeah.
And you're as our branch directors, we have board of advisors and managers.
Board of managers.
But it's that power, still the power of the volunteer.
Yes.
But our CEO, of course, reports to the board of directors, what has policy making a decision. But how have you utilized your volunteers over your career to just help you to move forward and get outward?
Yeah.
Well, again, I've been very blessed here in Northeastern Pennsylvania. I have a group of volunteer leaders who really value what I bring to the table. They have a lot of respect for my knowledge and my experience. And unlike any other place where I've worked, and I've worked in a lot of different places, but these folks here have been very, very appreciative of what I bring to the table.
Yeah.
And they value my background, my knowledge, my experiences, my education, and I think, again, it's in nonprofit management, it's all about again, a collaborative effort. When it talks about board governance, it's volunteers and staff working together in tandem, having a shared vision, having understanding of who does what. Board has their role, staff have their role, and again, it's that trust that in each other's ability to get their accomplish what they need to do in their roles to make it very successful. So this group here has been wonderful. They've excellent to work with, and it shows in the services that we provide. It shows in the successes that we've had with our fundraising.
I love that. I love that.
$2.6 million.
Yeah. And you can't underestimate that relationship and how valuable, right? That understanding what the staff roles are, what the volunteer roles are, but really, engaging with and maximizing your volunteers. So many times I see folks who have incredible volunteers and they don't give them meaningful work. Like they give them kind of busy work, or they won't let go of some of the things that that are drowning them, holding them down, since we're talking about swimming, right? Drowning them. And you have really amazing volunteers who could help you with that. And they don't do it. So how do you navigate that space?
Well, I think it's very simple. It's respect. It's the respect for their volunteer time. They have family, they have work, they have a life. So I try to make sure that the how we use them, how we work together is the basic principle of respecting them and their time. Yeah. So it could be as simple as starting the meetings on time, ending the meetings on time, having a good agenda, sticking to that agenda, just being respectful. I think that's probably the biggest, most important key to success.
Yeah, I agree. Building relationships and asking them, right, what they want to do. I remember I had one volunteer who was an attorney, and I just figured, okay, so whenever I interface with them, whatever work I'm asking them to do has to be in a law space. And they kind of went along with that for like 4 months. And then one day they pulled me to the side and said, if you give me one more law related task, I'm going to throw up. Like, that is what I do all day for work. That is why I volunteer with you, to do something else, to get in my passion. And their passion was gardening, and they created a community garden. They took care of the landscape. I mean, it was beautiful how they enhanced the physical look of that property that we were on, when I just kind of let go and trusted them, right, and built the respect and let them work in their passion, what I thought they should be doing. He was like, don't ask me another law question. Yeah. I'm not answering.
Yeah, we don't spend enough time with our volunteers to be able to get to know, like, what is it that you're most passionate about? Like when I some of the things I volunteer for, I'm really not looking for any decision-making power, because I don't want to do that. I just want to do. Like, what do you volunteer for? Is it like the motorcycle? Do you want me to tell you about this motorcycle Keith just bought here? He's having a whole situation. Gary, you have kids?
I do.
How old are your kids, Gary?
Well, mine's, I think, might be a little bit older than what's today.
All right.
I have a son who's 37.
Okay.
And I have a daughter who's 33. And
no way.
I wouldn't have gave him that old.
I thought he was going to say 21. Yeah, you're looking good, Gary. You're looking good, Gary.
Well, thank you.
I thought he would have said that.
I owe it all to my wife. My wife takes good care of me.
Now do you guys enjoy being an empty nester?
Well, sometimes it's good, but we do miss them a lot. They both live out of town. We're up here in Northeastern Pennsylvania. My son and daughter-in-law lives in outside of Salt Lake City, and my daughter lives down in Louisville. So yeah, it's sometimes it gets a little lonely being away from them. But
well, you've been in the game a little bit longer than I have on the empty nester, so I can understand. I am hurt a little bit. My son moved out about 3 months ago, and I just be waiting by the phone like.
So ask him what he did when the son moved out, when he had a whole crisis and bought this bike.
I did not have a crisis. So Gary, I had a little bit of extra money now because the kids are out, right? And so I've always had this passion, desire to have a Riker, a Can-Am Riker. And so I went out and bought it. I am very cautious with it.
Don't encourage it.
Hey, I'm just saying. I'm not a splurger, so I decided.
That's true. He's not a splurger. He's cheap.
I think I'm gonna treat myself. But Gary, you growing up in Long Island, your father had a judo studio.
Yes.
And you got the distinction of being a black belt.
I did.
Really?
You do good research.
Nice.
Tell me a little bit. I mean, so
You don't have anything close, Keith. So don't pull out a story trying to compare.
No. What I'm saying was that when I enrolled my son when he was small into karate class, now I grew up with Bruce Lee.
That is not
so I know it's not. I know it's not. What? But that was my mindset, right?
Oh my gosh.
And so I asked the instructor, I said, well, when they gonna learn some stuff? And he was like, they are learning, sir. Well, I said, what about the no, sir.
No, that's not.
It's about discipline.
Right.
And I was like, okay.
Oh, that was like the Karate Kid.
Well, then I understood. So now, now I knew how to coach my son in terms of just the discipline part and what he was learning. So that helped me tremendously. You got to the top level being a black belt. So I know that level of discipline. Yeah, had to be there.
Yes.
How's that? How did that carry throughout your career?
Well, it's a lot of waxing on and waxing off. Like that. No, I think, my dad had a judo studio. So when I was 6 years old, what else am I going to do? So,
right.
I would follow him to the school, and that's when I started my career in judo. It's kind of like the kid on the block who has the ping pong table in their basement becomes the best ping pong player. Well, I happened to have the judo school, so I was one of the better judo players in my neighborhood. So it took me all the way through college, where I captained the judo team at Slippery Rock University, and I had the opportunity to compete internationally and score a couple of records and nice awards and trophies in my day. But again, it's like you said, Keith, I think it was all about the discipline. Mm-hmm. And, just growing up with these Japanese instructors and these very talented educators, it became very easy for me going into education because it was more on-the-job training for me by just learning from these great educators and trainers. So by the time I was in college and I was studying physical education, teaching and being up in front of a group of students was just so very natural for me. Yeah. So, the organization, the preparation, just the discipline, it really, it made me who I am today.
Yeah.
Nice,
okay.
nice.
So tell me this though, Gary, but between you and I, knowing that you had a black belt, they gave you a little bit of swag, didn't it? Did you just kind of walk into places like, I wish somebody would say something to me today?
Well, it's hard for you to see, but right now I'm about 6'3", about 225 pounds. So
without the judo,
people would look at you and they wouldn't mess with you because of your size. So. So I had a few things going for me besides my black belt.
Total package. I love it. Total package.
Did you teach also physical education?
I did. My degree was in health and physical education. My graduate degree is in sport administration. So I had the opportunity to teach sport administration in Virginia at Old Dominion University.
Nice.
And
I
also
went to Hampton University.
My wife graduated from Old Dominion University.
Virginia, it's like a reunion.
I know,
here,
right?
Love that community. It was a great school, great student.
Area, yeah.
And I also had opportunity to teach at the University of Louisville, and it was just a great experience that I miss. Not teaching anymore because, but it did give me an opportunity to write a couple of books and get published. And that's kind of what led me to Community Rec magazine. Yeah. They're a great group of people, and it gives me opportunity to publish a lot of the articles from the practical type of work that I do, whether it be fundraising or board development or the topics we talked about today with developing relationships. I like putting these thoughts down on paper and contributing to the magazine, and they seem to like what I write, and they keep publishing it. So
I
keep writing.
You got 2 books under you now.
Are they still in circulation?
Yes, they're
shout them out. Like, tell the people the books and where they can get them from.
Well, I just so happen to have one. This is the first one I did was on sport marketing, and this was a collaborative effort with a number of my colleagues.
Sport marketing, yes, Gary. Boy Scouts, stay prepared.
Nonprofit recreations and sport organizations.
You know what? That's a good book. We should give our sports folks.
Right. This basically is this is of all the years that I've worked in the nonprofit sector, I've put all the ideas, all the experiences, all the case studies that I've done into writing. And so it's about nonprofit management in a
Yes.
sports
Nice.
setting. So I was very
I
proud of
love
those two
that.
books.
Nice.
I don't know. I just happen to have them right here on my.
That's another Boy Scout. Be prepared.
at
Yes,
all times.
That's
At
right.
all
I
times.
love it.
Now I asked about the being a teacher because I was in eighth grade, and in eighth grade, I had a little swag to me. I played a little football,
I don't think you did.
basketball, and track. No, I was somewhat of the man, and so
Who told you that?
I told myself that.
Oh, there it is. Of course.
So Mr.
Okay.
Anderson was our PE teacher, and he was the wrestling coach also. And so in class, he would teach us some moves and stuff. Now, I wanted to know, have you ever had any kid to challenge you? Just thinking because you may have been older than them. Because when I went up against Mr. Anderson, he had me get down, and I was going to take him.
In your eighth grade mind.
In my eighth grade mind.
Because you had told yourself that you was.
The wrestling coach who had been, went to college and all that. Now, Gary, he took me down in probably about 2.5 seconds. And I think he added a little extra in there to like, okay, little
now
short.
take that.
Right.
Son.
No, he didn't say anything, but he was a quiet guy because I went up going like this. So Gary, I had to ask it. Did any kids try to challenge you? Because, I know you got your judo and I know in your mind, did any kid ever try to challenge you while you were in school? Like a Keith Benson?
Like a Keith Benson.
Not that I can think of.
Okay.
Sorry.
Goodness, you didn't run into Keith Bensons out in the world. Oh,
I didn't know if you had to use your skills or something in a class situation where a kid, may thought he was, a little bit bigger than what his britches
so
were.
one wrestling lesson, and now you're gonna take out the teacher. It's the story of your life.
Never had to use it. I would just stand up straight and towering over these people, and that's just enough intimidation enough for them to be squared away.
But that's that
Think
part.
twice. Think twice about it.
Now, I know you guys do a lot in the community, and one of the projects is Sarah's Table. Can you talk a little about Sarah's Table
The pantry. Let's hear
and kind
about
of the pantry of what you guys did during the pandemic and is still doing now?
it. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for asking about that. It's one of our talk about social responsibility, and it's one of those areas that we take very seriously here. And I talked earlier about giving back to the community and strengthening the community. There's just so much food insecurity these days, where there's so many families who are impoverished and who are in need, and we recognize that need. And so each week we probably see over 100 people who come through and go through our pantry, so they have enough food on their table for the week. So then we were faced with a dilemma during the pandemic, where rather than them coming into our building, into our pantry, we kind of pivoted and changed and decided, well, we can't stop this program. We have to keep it going. So what are we going to do? So our pantry is situated in the back part of our building. So we said, let's them just come drive through. They'll stop. They'll open up their trunk. We have our 5 to 7 volunteers will actually bag the groceries and bring them to the car, so they don't have to get out of their car or come into the building. And this was at a time when our building was basically shut down for the pandemic.
Right.
So it's there's a local food bank, Commission on Economic Opportunity, who we receive a lot of our food from. And then we do a lot of fundraising, and other people donate to supplement the type of foods that we need. And again, it's canned goods, it's meats, it's poultry, it's fish, it's milk, it's cheese, it's cereals, it's all the basic foods. And sometimes we get like dishwashing liquid and laundry detergent and soaps and other things that people could use. So it's a very gratifying program. It's something that people like to support, and then we have another type of program where it's our congregate meal program, where we basically provide kosher meals for the elderly every day, a hot kosher lunch every day. And that was another thing that we had to temporarily change and pivot, because again, the building was closed. The seniors couldn't come in and eat and socialize. They would come in, they'd play cards, they have a meeting, they would socialize, recreate, they have a lunch, and they would go home. So we did, again, the drive up and the drive through. And so it was a difficult couple of years. But again, I think what kept our agency afloat and kept us serving the community was having this ability to pivot and change. And then my staff really stepped up, and we took the entire membership list, and we would call every single one of our members every week just to make sure that they were okay, they had enough food, they were safe, they need any other further assistance. And that connection and that checking in with them really went a long way.
Yeah.
And most JCCs and most other community rec organizations, YMCAs, probably lost a lot of members as a result of the pandemic, where I'm happy to say we didn't lose more than 5 members because we stayed connected with them and we were able to pivot and still service them to the best of our ability. So we're very proud about that.
That's excellent. Yes, indeed. That's what it's all about. I'm really excited and hopeful because of the way so many nonprofits, places like the JCC and the Y, really did just pivot right in the moment of the pandemic and not just stay so anchored to the way things used to be, and how that really is influencing how we continue to move forward. Because even though that initial emergency of the pandemic has passed, there are still some challenges looming. People are talking about a recession. Like COVID is at the endemic stage, right? It is a part of life. There are still populations who are suffering, and we've now kind of reconnected with that part of our work and are not willing to let that go, on top of doing some of the other best practices. So I love to hear that. And I love the fact that they were doing the kosher meals. Right. That is so culturally competent. I love that, just leaning in and not only getting folks food, but the foods that are culturally relevant for them, not just anything, right? Like almost telling people, just scrap all the rest of that stuff and eat whatever we give you. It's like, no, we want to meet you where we are. We want to respect what your cultural values are and give you the foods that you like. I love that. That's good.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Good job, Gary.
Gary, man,
JCC.
Thank you, man. This is great. We'll make sure that your books get out there. You want to share one more time where folks can get those, because I know you have them on hand right there.
Well, this is something you can get on Amazon. This is Sport Marketing. It's on Amazon or Sagamore Publishers, and this one is probably a little bit harder to get. This is through Sentia, SENTIA Publishing, and it's it's something if anybody wants to purchase them. I don't, they told me when I wrote these books that I should not give up my day job. So, it was more of a bucket list item where I wanted to write a book, publish a book, and I did, and I was very happy and grateful about it. So if somebody wants to buy it, I'm thrilled, but because it's a good thing I don't have to make a living off of it.
You should get them for our sports directors as Christmas presents. People's going to order like 15 of the sports.
See, Hey, Gary, man, it's been a pleasure. Looking forward to just reading more of your articles and your book also in the future. And look, hey, thank you for listening to CAUSENETIC.
On this episode called, are you going to swim again?
Yes, I am. Let's go.
Shifting the Focus Outward, featuring Gary Bernstein, a collab with Community Rec Magazine.
Hey, subscribe and listen to us weekly.
And don't be shy, give us a 5-star review.
And as always,
Be dynamic.
be phenomenal.
Be CAUSENETIC.